It's me, the Anti.Matrix. Listen, I want to talk about when Jesus was breaking down the parables of the sower and things of that nature. And some of how it correlates to real life, but also even in accordance to the book of Job. So, Jesus is breaking down. First of all, I want to say Jesus took me into a cave, and I realized the importance of Jesus. But that's another video. Back to the topic. One of the things he was touching on was a lot of the times somebody of faith, when they go through things in the book of Matthew, you can go to the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. He's talking about the sower. He's talking about faith, things of this nature, and why he was using parables, yada, yada, yada. So he's breaking down how a lot of the times the perfect example of somebody who's a believer is a man who looks in the mirror and then walks away and forgets his own face. You forget your own spirituality a lot of the times because life will compel you to do so. You know, it's somebody who spits the word of scripture, but then the scripture is not actually within them. So their ears don't really hear and their eyes don't really see, and their words really don't mean anything at all. It's teaching you something. When you look at Job, when he got stricken down, the seeds he was sowing and maintaining his faith and even debating his friends, because at the end of the book of Job, all of his homeboys came to him and they gave their own testimony to his experiences, their perception of the whole thing. And they're basically going through like a court, you know, lawyer versus defendant type of thing where, you know what I'm saying, Job is defending his beliefs and how he's seeing things. And he's going through these different trials with his different friends. So he's sowing seeds this whole time. This is why God blessed him. This is why God blessed him with even more than he actually had, right? Also, it tells you in the Bible, you got to judge a tree based off of its fruits. So the things that he was able to multiply tells you what type of person Job actually was, on top of the blessing. This is also getting back into Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the sower, faith, belief, all of this, where no matter what happened to Job, he didn't forget who he was. He didn't forget who God was, what God was. He didn't really forget the situation. All right, God, well, I came in this world with nothing. It kind of makes sense that I leave this world with nothing. Boom, I bow to you. Your supreme power is your will. Let thy will be done. You know what I'm saying? Job is the perfect example of a believer. In today's society, it's kind of hard to have that faith. You know, you got to really question why they show so much evil. The truth is, they know God is real, for sure. God is real. Now, very recently, I had a short conversation with God. It tells you in the Bible, even with David, all of these, it's a couple different books that I could give y'all references, how God talks to people through dreams. I'm having a dream. It's like one of those movies where it's panning over the landscape. I'm panning over some ice and snow. It's beautiful. I'm looking around in the dream, but I'm like a spirit. I'm just a conscious awareness. So I'm looking around. I feel no cold. It's like the perfect temperature, but it's winter. He got me in ice and snow, and it's like panning, like literally in one of those movie scenes where they're showing you the beautiful background and the camera's just going along. Literally, that's what he's doing to me. This is what I hear. The God that created you, you will never fully understand. And I woke up. I said, what the fuck? Challenge accepted. Now, let me give y'all some sidebars. God won't necessarily challenge you. The spirit is not built to challenge you because challenges come with deception and God is not deception. So trials and tribulations come with life. I'm not saying that God is challenging me to try to override that. I know I'm incapable, and all of us are incapable of fully understanding God in the flesh. That's just how we're built. We're cut off from full understanding. But in my life's journey, I have looked for this thing, and to finally like have these dreams where I know Jesus was talking to me. I am fully convinced that Jesus is actually real if you know how to pray. Now, what I believe, back in the day, when you look at all these different occurrences, these people had immense faith and they knew how to pray. I feel like a lot of people's faith are weak and a lot of people don't know how to pray. I believe that I figured out how to pray. And, you know, when you look at the communication between Job and a lot of these men in the Bible, God will talk to you through visions, but it never tells you necessarily how. Sometimes these visions aren't fully defined. Some of these visions are dreams. It's not just the dreams they specify, which they specify plenty, but it's the ones where they articulate it as a vision. This guy could have been high. He could have been in the mountains, you know, inhaling them fumes, going away on one of those spiritual journeys, got high, had a vision, ayahuasca, DMT. You don't know what these guys were doing back in the day, but they're having visions. That's not necessarily normal. That's of spiritual means or something else, which opens the door for spiritual means. You have to use common sense. So these guys will have visions or dreams. They would daydream, day vision. What is a vision? A daydream, bro. So they're dreaming, bro. God talks to people through dreams. Literally, it's in your subconscious. You got to, what I realize, a lot of these men that was able to be in these circles of righteousness, holy figures, like people who was around, you know, John the Baptist, Jesus, you know, the prophets, the apostles, David and his people, his group, his dudes that was chosen by God. When you even Saul being chosen. When you think about these people have unburdened themselves of their guilty conscience, of their sins. They've repented. They knew how to pray. They knew how to talk to God. And yeah, they were chosen. But a lot of it is coming clean. And when you can come clean with yourself and come clean and get on those knees and really pray to Jesus and pray to your God, whatever it is, because I'm not going to isolate Yah gods. That's when you will get something will talk to you. But you got to actually call upon that spirit. Here's a little side note. The subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or fake. So if you have a belief system, you actually empower in your subconscious that it's actually real. Whether it's fake or not, it becomes actually real to your mind. Whether you consciously know this or not, whether you're convicted of this is true, right? So you can actually empower on a subconscious level supernatural spiritual happenings in your life through your faith. This is how I know people's faith are weak, because my faith has been tested. It's interesting. When your faith gets tested and you maintain faith, I recognize that God will address you. It's like God has to honor you on some level. Because if you think about all of the men and women that's been tested by God, they got to talk to him at some point. It's interesting. God ain't talking to the weak. That's something that I realize. We all got weakness. I got weakness in me, but I purge myself of certain weaknesses. Learn how to adapt. Learn how to deal with shit. And when you go through that fire, I promise you, God will be out on the other side waiting to have a conversation. God is the fire, straight up. I recognize that. And God to talk to you through a dream, a vision. I don't want y'all test trials and tribulations to be, I don't want it to be something that allows you to forget your own face, to forget your own faith. You know, sometimes God will put things in your way, but this is based off of what you sow, the seeds you sown. Sometimes God will allow things to happen to you, but there is not one thing on this planet that does not serve to your benefit. A lot of the times, your setback is like, it allows you to propel yourself forward. If you really can use life alchemy, just being emotionally intelligent, all of these things, if you can manipulate negative situations to a positive perspective, the trajectory of this setback can launch you forward farther than you were set back. It serves as power, as fuel. It's quite interesting. What's funny about God is when you die, bro, you're going to realize all the things you've been through serve to your benefit if you would have allowed it. That's the craziest thing about God. It's somewhere in there, it serves God's purpose because it knows that evil is here. God has to win. God will win. And God's smarter than the devil. So, of course, it has things in play in each of our lives where we could actually benefit from the negatives. But we don't always see it because we're spiritually blind. You must accept this as truth. There is truth in the Bible. There's a lot of truth in the Bible. And it's certain scriptures, and I'm going to start going over these scriptures too. It's certain scriptures that actually have power. The Bible is like a grimoire. It's like a spell book. Seriously. And it actually has power in there, but you got to know where to look. And you got to know how to pray. And you got to be real. It's interesting. I'm not really a Bible thumper. My content I will not allow my content to be majority religious conduct, of religious conduct and content. But when it comes to my purpose, it's just one of those things where I'm here to serve. And it's like when you serve God for real, or at least when you try, and you actually have these experiences, you have no choice but to try to give a positive perspective. I don't want to proclaim help because it's really God doing all this. But if the things that I do can help somebody see something different in a positive way, and I'm spiritually touched to move like this, I'm going to move in that spirit because I'm really convinced. I'm not trying to convince none of you, but I do hope you see. I'm gone.